Uh, my name is Margaret Ann Windsor. I say that at the beginning of my tapes because that's what's involved in all this. My kidnapping in 41 from Buckingham Palace and being dropped off in a pigsty in Moulton, Alabama, Lawrence County, given the name of a twin, that both twins were dead, Peggy and Carl Dempsey. Their mother was Lina Dempsey, and she had killed them. They were born out of wedlock. So I grew up being told that was my name, Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married at Childers. I was called Bastard. I grew up just like this girl would have grown up. Maybe a little, well, anyway, I started to say maybe a little worse than she would have if they hadn't killed her. They fed her to the pigs, and this is true. You can't lie about it. It's all so hideous that it's been allowed to go on, and I'm 70, almost 75 years old, so it's gone on personally to me since 41. My mom and dad were never able to get me back. Now then, before I lose anybody, and by the way, Carl, the other twin, was buried. He was murdered. Both of them were. I didn't find out about my kidnapping, my real name, until 1983, the fall winter of 83, when I was in a political campaign. And yes, the British have told me, and the Germans that people love to talk about were the ones that helped save me, some of my family and the Germans. And there were a handful of Americans. There were some, but as a whole, they're comfortable. They have the pie. They won't even share it one bit with the people that paid the price for it. And that would be me, thank you, and the British and the Germans. Now, here's if everybody hasn't turned me out, because nobody likes to hear the truth. They have presented themselves, I'm talking about the Americans. I just heard a tape, a video, part of it. I couldn't stand the rest of it. It was by something about Goldstein something. But in it, it's telling about the Freemasons, supposedly, and the symbols in the Capitol and all that. Did you ever consider that the first so-called president, George Washington, was a Freemason? All of them were. So they were a pack of thieves, and that's what's been there ever since. It's never changed. They're all a bunch of thieves and killers. But here's what this man, Goldstein, which is Jewish, said on his tape, and this is what's been said. So if I misquote a couple of words, the Americans went to war has been the whole thing, because they won't allow the truth to be told. I got to see if this is filming. The Americans have always, everything is told that they're doing the good, the right thing, to help people, to help Americans stay safe, all this. Americans didn't buy that. They knew the truth. I've lived here. I've walked in my shoes. I've met them every day, right in the face, one to one, and I know the Americans. The thing is, they've always said that they entered the war, especially in World War II, to save the countries of the free world from the Germans and tyranny and all that, which was a total lie. What they did, and they don't want told, and I'm 75 years old, I may not live to see it. I hope and pray it's told, but who, other than God, can punish them? Half of them are in the grave. They would never stop what they're doing. They've never stopped what they're doing to me, the torture and hell in plain sight here. To my children, to me, to my country, the real Brits, not Elizabeth, not her father that helped kidnap me, Joe Kennedy, the ambassador. That's John Kennedy's father. And by the way, John Kennedy and Joe were there during the time in England in the time their father was ambassador. They flew in and out. John Kennedy even spoke, I believe it was before the House of Commons. Yeah, I'm kidnapped in 41. Now, they had access flying in and out, and I know the father had kidnapped me. So I have to wonder about John and Joe. John wrote a book, While England Slept, I believe is the title of it. Uh, so I'm going to show a few pictures. My father, King Edward VIII, was legally wed to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, the sister to Georgia, the artist. Isn't that a shame that my mom is the real queen mom. I'm the legal heir, Victoria II. I have to refer to my mom as sister of Georgia O'Keefe, the artist, so that people will know who she is. Because as it stands, you've got George VI, my uncle, who's nothing but a cold-blooded thief and killer and traitor, and then his daughter Elizabeth is illegal also, and her brood. Not once have they stood up and told the truth and tried to stop the taking of everything British. My uncle is illegal. Nothing he signed is legal, or Elizabeth, yet they're allowed to do it because the United States was allowed to sign illegal treaties with George, and I don't know what's been signed with Elizabeth, that would allow the United States to place its military bases all over British soil and use it as a launching pad to control the rest of the world and their hostages. It has nothing to do with the Americans. Their intent was never to save anybody but themselves. I put this in different tapes. The thing is, well, I said that my father never married Wallace Simpson. A 99-year seal was put on the stealing and takedown of my father, which was illegal, and yes, I am the legal heir. I can't believe the lies this country is told. If you want to think somebody's blood boils, mine doesn't, but ever so often it does. I want to inject this. I've walked in my shoes, so what I've learned, I know is true. How I have been treated, how the British have been treated, how the Germans. It's the Americans that did it. And you're right, mister, that I just viewed the video. Bin Laden wasn't the killer that they made him out to be. That's what they did to my father. They lied, nothing but cold-blooded lies, and took him down, kidnapped me, his daughter. My children, are heirs, Mark and Scott. This country does not want told what you all have done to me every day of my life here. You have tortured, you have murdered, you have done the most inhumane things to me. That's the one thing that would take you down, is my kidnapping and the lies you made up about my father. And the fact that you've used us and the British to fight your wars and die for you when you stole this country in the first place. Now, I want to get back to one thing before this tape stops. I only have a certain time on here. In my working and walking through life and coming in contact with the British that saved my life, I have known the British that married so they could come to this country and help me. Oh, I have been almost killed. I have been tortured. I will remember one lady, British lady in particular, I was working with just before Christmas, and I didn't know at that time, this is back about 68, 69 in Atlanta. She had married he was owned corporation, let me put it this way, had money. He was Jewish. She's not. She's English. I saw her. She wasn't allowed to speak. I was a secretary. I wasn't allowed to speak. He took their two kids and went off to Florida. They had divorced, and to get by, and she came over here to help me too. She was standing there filing and all this. She wasn't allowed to speak. And you know what? I was fired. I had a letter where this Jewish man took her kids, well, they were his too, off to Florida, and he left me a letter that fired me. And in it he said, you can't wish people a Merry Christmas. I had wished the people in the back Merry Christmas and all this, but he knew who I am. She had married him as some other Brits in Germany. demons to come over here and help save me from the people who, went over there to save our souls? What liars? I'm upset. I don't read from any script or anything. You're a bunch of liars. You do not want my kidnapping told.